greet you and let me greet my good brothers here in the studio and greet the Ghanaian people. And let me commend TV3 and your entire network for bringing us, the entire Ghanaian people, all the election-related issues, the campaign period, the coalition, and all of that. You have done such an excellent work, and so a lot of commendations to you. And let me congratulate the President-elect, John Dramani Mahama, and wish him the best of luck in his tenure. We would be a very responsible opposition government during the next 4 years that he has to govern these Ghanaian people. Let me state that Parliament is reconvening today, and anybody who has gone through such level of we lost an election extremely. We have lost many seats, and so I'm sure that the morale in Parliament today would be a lot more commandeering. I don't know how many of the members would be able to turn up.
Are you getting signals on the party platform and the discussion platforms that members will not turn up?
No,
in their numbers?
No, I haven't gotten anything at all. But you know, if you have lost an election, it's a very emotional time, and some people may turn up, some people may not turn up. But it's important that the business of the day carries on. I'm not too bothered because this parliament is coming to an end anyway. And so when the minority that is becoming the new majority from the 9th parliament sits at where they sit, and the majority that is becoming the minority sit at where they sit, I think that business of the day will be carried out in Parliament today. This Fourth Republic, and particularly these sessions, are giving us a lot more of the deepening of our democracy. We are unearthing things that otherwise we haven't unearthed in previous governments and in previous sessions. And I want to take a position of the fact that this deepens a lot more of our democracy. I recall yesterday that the President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, was being commended by the entire ECOWAS heads of state for upholding to the democracy and democratic stance and ensuring the effective, smooth transfer of power from one government onto another government. And we must commend that as well. And I'm very certain that, like the President-elect John Dramani Mahama has stated, they will not take for granted their overwhelming majority in the 9th Parliament, and they would want to also work very much with the minority because, Roland, is an entirety of the Ghanaian people.
I don't understand.
It's an entirety of the Ghanaian people.
In what sense are you making this statement?
That President-elect John Dramani Mahama would govern entirety of the Ghanaian people. And I'm sure that upon reflection, especially during the period when he was in opposition, he's made some very critical decisions in his leadership now. And I'm sure that it will be reflective for all the Ghanaian people.
Well, very instrumental. Doctor, every year, you take a look at the outcome of the election. How do you think these closing stages, this parliament, the 8th parliament, need to compose themselves as they reconvene today to get government business going, so to speak? Because there's an outstanding budget. At least we need an interim budget before we have a main one, I'm sure, by March, with the new finance minister when the new government is ushered into office, so to speak. And what sort of unity or some level of cohesion or diplomacy do you expect, or would you expect of them? today?
Yeah, thank you very much. And special greetings to your panelists as well. And also, Lawyer IDG, I congratulate you as well. Your party has won. You came to Kumasi. You did campaign here, so you need to be commended for your hard work. I think hard work pays, and I think that is what the NDC has really done in making them to win this election. Roland, when you look at Parliament and all the things that has happened so far, I believe that today we need to see a different atmosphere in Parliament. We need to feel that we are one people, and at least we are. It's a nation Ghana that is at stake now. I don't expect any kind of infighting, rift here, walking around, or let's imagine. No. Today, I think that the eighth Parliament need to end well, so that we all be assured of the ninth Parliament that will be coming. But it will be so interesting that the NDC or they will tease the MPP a lot, and so I think emotionally they need to calm themselves down and see the way forward. About the thing that is ahead, that is before Parliament need to build some consensus of collaboration about those issues. I don't think that today this Parliament, as we are ending, should be on hard end from each end. That is each party, that is each side. We should avoid a situation where minority, I'm the majority, I am this or that. I think this should be those that if judiciary has ruled or the judgment has come, let's go by it. At the end of the day, the ninth Parliament is the NDC that holds absolute majority. So I think this need to be avoided. Let's all of us have the size that we all at least believe that they all belong to that side, and let's end well. If anything that is on need to be discussed, I think there should be some consensus. There should be behind closed doors, so that we will end it well and then come in for the ninth Parliament. I believe, but today it will be an interesting Parliament. I think I believe that I will enjoy. I'll be watching afar to see how the things go on in Parliament, and that will be so interesting.
Now, what do you think in your own assessment? I'm asking this because you seem to have impugned that there could be some psychological effect due to the outcome of this election in Parliament, and so you could have some perhaps staying back, which is possible, but you're making that clear on call. What do you think in your own assessment then, perhaps within the workings of Parliament over the last couple of months, that also influenced public opinion for us to witness the outcome of the election the way we did? That we're going to have a convened Parliament today where many of them may not be returning, so to speak.
It will be a mixed feeling, about what happened for the past few days. How Parliament was being seen as, should we call it punching ground or boxing arena? Not fighting, but you see that each side is holding it about themselves and trying to ensure that I have the power, I am in control. The speaker will be doing his part, the minority, the majority, everybody. We were not seeing that kind of cohesiveness and the sense of unity and purpose for the eighth Parliament. And that is why I believe that we need to avoid this kind of situation that is today as we're convening. Let the bygones be gone, and let's see what needs to be addressed today. And it hasn't been well for this Parliament, and I believe that it is a lesson, and maybe that is what the parties has learned, to have these absolute majority. I once said before that the experience of these hung Parliament, any party that wins will have an absolute, will try to over at least to increase the number, so that to avoid this, because there was a lot of kind of infighting and rifts between the parties. Because assuming that the MPP had at least also gotten some seats to have these hands, you see the ripple effect of the 8th Parliament for the 9th Parliament. But I think that all the lesson that has been learned in the 8th Parliament, that is the hung Parliament, has brought this thing to pass, and I believe that the ninth parliament will be so interesting that things will work well for the parliament.
Lapi Adankwa, we've come to a stage where now it looks like the actions today is a reflection, or is going to be what we'll be witnessing next year or from January in terms of how they could collaborate or behave today. Should we be thinking about that? Because really, what the Ghanaian people said in this election and the outcome is that it looks like they want the country to go in a certain direction. And so picking from the behavior of both sides of the house within the last couple, I have to say even this year, over the last couple of months in the run-up to the election, what should they carry forward into the next parliament, which seems to be an overwhelming majority on the side of the NDC?
The next parliament essentially is a reset parliament. Essentially, the Ghanaians have spoken. We don't want this negative parochial leadership that the MPP granted us. We don't want that. And so from 7th January 2024 is a reset parliament. Is a parliament, is a government whose focus ought to be the restoration of the fundamental laws of political credibility that Anado's leadership granted us. Yes, I agree entirely with the position of my brother Eduji when he said that if the biggest legacy of Nanado was to take our country back more than 50 years ago. You understand? And you see, when we think democracy is just about elections. Yes, and so I know this week, then people like my brother Paul Graves indicated, they'll be congratulating Nanado for a smooth transition. If you analyze critically what democracy is not just power of the people, it's also power by the people and power for the people. So when you have a president who in his dealings, when he had the power, waged a war against all the critical institutions of democracy, made statements that divided us as a people, instead of bringing us together. You had a president who had no qualms looking in the eyes of citizens of this country, the people of Reconvenes, and he tells them that, listen, I reneged on my duties to you only because you did not vote for my MP. Said same to the people of Mepe, that I don't have your support, so in your times of need, I don't need to be here. Against the clear terms of the oath he took. When you have a president who had no qualms appointing people who were known or perceived to be members of a political party onto the AC, the consequence is the fundamental lack of trust by the people of this country on the ability of the AC to provide an election which is not only free and fair, but which will be perceived to be free and fair. My brother is talking about the vigilance and congratulating the NDC for their vigilance. You saw incidents of people besieging the offices of the coalition centers. It's not to support them, but clearly the people of Ghana not trusting that the EC they perceive to be in bed with the MPP will be capable of delivering elections which are free and fair, took matters into their own hands. That's the negative position the President Nanado has left us. He's left a nation that is divided. He's left a nation who do not believe or trust in the democratic institution. He's left a party which is a threat to the rule of law. You understand? And you see, if you understand the burden on us as Ghanaians to build a robust constitution, a robust democracy, constitutional democracy, because that's the only way in which we will be guaranteed of the rule of law. And a guarantee of the rule of law is the only system that can guarantee for us our fundamental rights to our lives, our fundamental rights to our liberties, our fundamental right to pursue our own individual happiness. And so if you have a major political party, and if you understand that one of the cardinal duties of political parties is to forge the right political culture, which is also the only means in which we can sustain the rule of law. And then you have a president who, beyond destroying the country, has also destroyed his party.
Meaning what?
That Nanado has destroyed the NPP.
How do you make those conclusions?
I'm telling you that, and when I said that you did not disagree with me, I've said this more than 3 times on this platform, that this current MPP is
I
a
want
threat.
you to explain why you make those conclusions. Because
I said the MPP is a
because the president was saying elected by the delegates to lead them going into an election. They did that 2 times.
Listen, Nanado, yes, Nanado became the leader of the MPP in 2008. After he became the leader of the MPP in 2008, he altered the character, the spirit, the values of the MPP from a character that believed in the values of liberal democracy, values that said that, listen, those who govern must do so with the consent of those they govern, values that said that you must tolerate diverse views, values that says that, listen, our democracy is one that is pluralistic in nature. You understand? To a party that had no qualms in or die, in a party that did not have any qualms in beating up people so far as they disagreed. What did the party say when Alan Chamantin's rep was his eyes was almost taken off in
Naruto.
What did the MPP and the president say when 8 of our compatriots died in the elections in 2020? What did he say? What of the Afoko coup d'etat? Afoko's coup d'etat. So now, you see, you must ask yourself questions. What will make the MPP make an argument that says that in spite of the clear terms of their constitution, because you see, the constitution should be the supreme law. In spite of what the constitution says, their national council reserves the right to take decisions other than what is in their constitution. What will make the MPP, when they were going to conduct the election to break the tie between Boache Jakon, alter the terms of engagement? And that's what I'm saying. This MPP is a threat to the rule of law.
So it means that you're only going to go back to the MPP if there are reforms.
Under Benagwa.
Yes, lawyer. I'm asking you the question.
You see, when you read history, when what's his name, Julius Caesar, you understand, was fighting with his own friend Pompey over Rome, and he crossed the Rubicon. You understand what that statement means? Once he crossed the Rubicon, there was no coming back. Well, you see, I don't believe that this MPP has in them to alter their character. I don't think they have in them. In fact, the indications already.
A political organization is a living organization.
Listen.
And they evolve.
And that's what I'm saying. I don't think what they are showing me, the signals, not since they picked a certain signal, the signals they are showing me in how they're analyzing why they've been granted this sad defeat. It's sad. I'm not happy with the extent of this defeat. You understand? Which will, see, they are 41, but it will come down to about 38. It will come down to about 38. When the 9 constituencies are counted, it will come down to about 38.
When every constituency
it will come down to 38. And we should not forget, we should keep our eye on the eyeball, because it will come down to 38. Yeah. And I'm saying that everything that is happening, because you see, when you're analyzing Nanado, you shouldn't only analyze Nanado in terms of his negative or non-legacy so far as political leadership in Ghana is concerned. The guy has left an economy which has lost all credibility. Economy 101 tells you that the safest place to go and put your money is with the government of Ghana bonds. Has that principle not been breached? And so, see how they handled issues in Parliament. And that's what I'm saying, that on 7th January, it's all about restoration of lost political credibility, restoration of the economy, restoration of this parochial, restoration and denunciation of the parochial. Now I'm just landing. I'm landing on this. Of the parochial political culture Nanado and the MPP have foisted on Ghana.
Okay.
You understand? And so when John Mama is saying reset, I'm asking all Ghanaians that the time for partisanship is done.
Okay.
We have a duty to rebuild our country. And that duty dictates that all of us as Ghanaians, whether MPP, whether movement, whether NDC, we should throw all our weight behind the new leader of this country.
Movement for change who left MPP, you will not go back.
So we've crossed the Rubicon. The Rubicon has been, because they are MPP by name. They don't believe in the value. We said.
But I'm also saying
let me land on my view. You are the one asking the questions. I'm the one answering. When we were leaving the MPP, we made this point emphatically that we still believed in the values and ideals of the new patriotic party. And we're moving because they had shifted. We are still there. And the signal that we are picking, does not tell me that they are ready to restore those values. But they do not believe in those values in the first place. Okay. And so we've crossed the Rubicon. That's what I'm saying.
Rubicon crosses. There's something I want us to deal with in relation to this outcome, what the Ghanaians said, because this one is coming from Helga Boyd, who says, Eduji is right. I was working in the Ashanti region alongside my sisters. The voters in the Ashanti region, the votes in the Ashanti region were the real vote. We discount and disregard all the talk about low voter turnout. And then she adds that I had 185 polling stations to supervise. My awesome Asokwa team were amazing. So the question I want to ask is, if you look at data, 50.1, 50.2 being the turnout, that draws the conclusion that people didn't come out to vote relative to 2020, relative to the number of voters. So if those conclusions are made, they are not wrong conclusions, are they?
I think, first of all, we need to verify whether the votes that were made in 2020 were genuine. It's only on that basis that you can draw that comparison. And I want to, submit on this platform that the MPP has always engaged in massive voter fraud. And that is why this time round, our focus was on vigilance. I'm not going to sit on this platform and disclose our strategies. Nobody does that. No, I will not do that. But I can tell you on this platform that we put our eyes right there. And the vigilance, the deployment of lawyers. There's a reason why in your house you have a CCTV camera in your house. One that is exposed. One is preventive. One also detects. The fact that you have the camera alone will put some people in check. So you need to appreciate the point that there's no basis for comparison. We went into an election. The MPP suffered its worst defeat since 1992. What you do in those circumstances is to demonstrate humility and not come here and, like other platforms, and provide a justification that our people didn't come out. If you offered them something useful by way of leadership, they would have been there for you. Assuming your claim is even true. I've listened to Nana Komia make the point that as early as February this year, it was clear to them that Bawumia was going to lose this election by not less than 10%. Nana Komia had made that point, and that they felt that by September they have closed the gap to 2%. What was the basis of that? Look, the University of Ghana had done a poll that already showed as late as August that Bawumia will not do beyond 65% in Ashanti region. And lo and behold, it happened. So you guys can be in your delusional state. That's your own. I think it's part of the pain, the part of the adjusting to the pain and the reality of defeat. I went through that in 2016, so I can appreciate where you are. But one thing that you must always remember, and possibly to us as well, that you cannot take the mandate of the people for granted. They are going to hold you accountable to what you said on the platform. I remember myself making some promises to communities and others. I have to provide for myself a checklist so that I'll be benchmarking myself.
You went out promising during the campaign?
Absolutely. You go to community.
On what authority were you doing that?
From my manifesto, that this place, this is what John Mahama will do for you. This is what John Mahama will do for you.
You did that?
Yes, and the people are going to. In fact, what we did was to internalize the NDC manifesto to region by region. So when I go to Central Region, I should tell them what the NDC manifesto means to them. When I go to Northern Region, I need to do that. I have no doubt at all in my mind that H.E. John Dramani Mahama will make free SHS better. You will provide for the first time dedicated funding for free SHS. The promise to abolish the double track would happen. The promise to localize feeding arrangement for our schools would happen, so that we will not experience social rice again. Because if the communities, Sablugu Secondary School, should not be coming to Accra to buy rice, when there are bags of rice packed in rice farms in Sablugu, it doesn't make sense. When you have to come to Accra to buy eggs. And look, from what I am seeing, do you know that this government is living in excess of 3 billion Ghana cedis as arrears for free SHS alone? People have profited from free SHS. People were given contracts to supply free SHS mackerel from China and others. And that was what they were seeking to protect when they were gaslighting you and I by telling us that vote to protect free SHS. It was not true. They were seeking protection, as it were, from accountability. And I can assure, we are going to ensure that everybody will be accountable to the very mandate that was given. I listened to H.E. John Dramani Mahama yesterday in church. In a very profound and sober manner, indicates that even his own appointees must remember, we lost 1 million. They have done 1.7. Which will come 2 million, heading towards 2 million. Very well.
1.6.
1.6. Oh, okay. Thanks for the clarification. I wanted you to admit.
What is 1.6?
The gap. You remember on the platform, Bamia used
voter difference?
Yes, Bamia used to say that as for him, he had won already. And that what he was looking for was a big gap. Remember what you wish for. You may have it, but differently. So we have come to the point where we should all agree that as politicians, we cannot take people for granted. They may not be talking. Yeah. And one thing I noticed, if you look at the security votes, was that the security men were not happy. But because of Akufo-Addo's leadership style, they kept quiet and were engaged in whispering campaign. You talk to your brother, these guys, they have to go. These guys, they have to go. And if you look at the vote coming out of Bema camp and the other security installation, it is clear that they never wanted Bawumia as their commander-in-chief.
Right.
And they spoke, not with the barrel of the gun, but the power of their thumb.
And Palgrave Bwachedankwa, Dr. Palgrave Bwachedankwa, which seats are in contention now by the MPP?
Well, let me state that, it's unfair for anyone to state that President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo has taken Ghana 50 years backwards. It's very unfair.
Who said that?
I said that today. You lost it. You should do a vote on that. You'll be surprised.
Because you see, there are a lot of liking skills in governance. I mean, you can praise some and you can fault some, but I think that it's commendable to see some of the works that President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo has been able to do within the 8 years. I mean, people can have some opinions to that, but I think that it's unfair on him. In the new parliament, that is the 9th parliament, before I come to the seats that are in contention, I think that one of the things that the Ghanaian people would want to see a lot more is mutual respect for both sides, for the majority NDC and for the minority NPP in the 9th parliament. Would want to see a lot more consensus building in the interest of the country that the good people of Ghana have asked that they represent them there. Would want to see bills that come to parliament wear a Ghana color rather than a lot more political color. That would also elevate the conversations. You know, Gigi talks about voter fraud in the 2020 election. And
I think he said that in relation to my question about the turnout.
The turnout.
Whether there was the real turnout
the
or
real
that
turnout
people just,
or no, you see,
that, whether the conclusion can be made that people didn't turn up.
No, you see, for me, right, there was a few more people that were added to the voters register. We went into an election, and the New Patriotic Party lost the election. Whether people turned out or not, for me, is not the argument. Even though the Electoral Commission has stated that based on the expectation of overwhelmingly 80 million people who should turn out for the election, majority of them did not. So clearly, at that side, you can say that there's a low turnout. What you cannot argue, really, is whether if those people had turned out, they would have either voted for the NDC or the APP, because that's a decision that they would have made independently of themselves. I don't think that the New Patriotic Party has shifted away from its ideologies and policies. Our leader of the party, Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, has stated very clearly that we're going to regroup as a political party.
Please, allow him.
No, I just want clarification. Having lost the election, is it still the leader of the NPP?
Be fair.
Yes, when you have a leader of a party, the leader of the party is Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia.
I thought you're not.
Whether you lose an election or not, he's the leader of the party. Okay, Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is the leader of the party.
According to your constitution, he assumes leadership of the party?
He's the flag bearer of the party. He lost the election. We have not gone for a congress. Okay,
so you may flag bearer until the next congress? No, I just want clarification.
No, leader.
Leader.
The flag bearer is for the national election.
No, I agree. So having been determined, does it not cease?
Don't be mischievous.
Until
I'm not being mischievous. That's the legal position.
Until we go for another congress.
He has clarified the position.
Until we go for another congress. I mean, I know
he's not holding himself out as the leader of
I know
the
all
NPP.
of these positions that people are having. NDC has been where we are today, and they have nursed their wounds and they've come back. We won't stay in opposition forever. We would work on the faults that the Ghanaian people had with us. We would regroup stronger. We would advise ourselves, and we would come back to beg the Ghanaian people and serve them in the manner in which we have to. There are a number of seats that are in contention by the New Patriotic Party. Okankwe Central, where the sitting MP is Patrick Buama. Ayawaso, Dome Kwabenya, where Ambassador...
Oke has admitted he has lost.
Oh, he has admitted?
Yes, so there's a video to that effect. He has admitted. Okay. And that is why the Electoral Commission...
That's an obvious. It's
no,
a 2020...
No, this is a recent one.
The one that is in nose marks.
How could he have said they lost in 2020?
No, that was a primary. So when he did the primaries.
No, relax.
When he did the primaries.
Yeah, I don't think so. I haven't heard it.
Oh, okay.
So,
yeah,
I've seen the video, but it's a 2020
yes.
post-primary.
That was when he lost. He lost to Adrasa, for
Yes.
I'm sure. Yes. So on this table of objectivity, we are aware that Dome Kwabenya as well is in contention. Obuasi East is in contention. In Sawum, Adruejri is in contention. But Roland, you see, whilst I watched the collation processes, okay, whilst I watched
of in contention, Obuasi East.
No, you have your...
No, hold on. Obuasi East, when the results were declared, the NDC candidate, Samuel Abuaji, the MPP candidate, the now MP, they both signed.
You are saying there was a public declaration.
And they both signed. They both signed.
And supervised by the Electoral Commission.
What contention? What contention? You were there when everything was done.
That's the position they hold. You also hold your position. Hold on.
Have you seen the hold on. Have you seen the EC 2020 letter in response to Haruna Idrisu for recollation for Techiman South?
I have.
Where the Electoral Commission said when the results are declared, your only resort is to go to the courts. This is the Electoral Commission then. The Electoral Commission now.
Roland,
What has changed?
that is what CI 127 says very clearly. But if you watch the manner in which some of the electoral officers were coerced
On TV. We
forced.
covered most of them
Yes,
live on TV.
yes. That is why when I
No,
came,
you covered
that
the
is why.
coercion or what?
That is
No,
why.
that- no,
That
I'm
is
saying-
why.
no, no, no.
No, that is
It's
why.
important
we
to
That is
covered-
why.
we
That is
covered-
why.
no,
That
because
is why when I came,
we
I
covered-
commended the network
We
because
covered-
you made the
no,
Ghanaian people
no,
see
no,
everything.
I'm saying that we covered most of these.
You covered everything.
instances
Yes, of course.
Of the
Of course.
collation,
Of course.
or the counting, the
and
declaration.
yes, of course.
On TV,
Of course.
and we couldn't have determined
No, of course.
how somebody was coerced.
So let me. Of course, I'm glad. You don't worry. It's okay for you.
No, we
to
never
bring-
saw it on TV.
Don't
really.
worry. It's okay for you to bring the disclaimer, but it is what I saw, and it is what people who were there also witnessed. Okay, that some of the electoral officers' lives were under threat, the lives of their families were under threat, and the manner in which they were forced to declare. You are aware we are all under the weather. The manner in which they were forced to declare certain seats for the majority NDC. The Electoral Commission said it's important they do either a recollation or allow for a revoting in that processes. I think that, Roland, you see, I can appreciate the NDC, the enthusiasm that they have with the majority that they have in the 9th Parliament. And you see, however it goes, whether it is majority 2/3 that allows them to run over the minority, their leader and Ghana's new leader, the president-elect, said they will not take the majority that they have for granted. They would work collectively with the minority. So imagine that someone has gone out to vote in Ablekuma North and has voted for the MPP candidate to become the next MP in Parliament, and an electoral officer has been forced to declare it.
I was there during
Otherwise,
a collation.
do you understand?
Your candidate,
Otherwise,
was by us together.
If you have declared it otherwise,
So what
I
are you
think that
talking
it's
about?
important that we bring the
No,
issues
which
to rest,
coercion are
because
you
you see,
talking about?
there are constituents who have gone to queue to vote. I went to my constituency to go and vote. My seat, we won a seat, and I congratulate the MP-elect Nana Kwame Adofrimpong for Ibuakwa North constituency, Chief Buffalo. You understand? But if people have gone out to vote and they know that the end result of their voting is that it will go to the majority NPP, and it is being changed because there's a clear agenda to have an almost 2/3, or even if
I don't understand. You're saying that the numbers that they got,
even
they were
if
orchestrated.
Roland, even if the entire parliament becomes green, right, they will still have to be democratic in whatever decisions that
We
they make.
want accountability. So
Do
we
you
want
understand?
to collate in parliament.
Yes. So there is no way that this 9th Parliament is going to be a rubber stamp parliament for President-elect John Dramani Mahama. We want these seats to be looked at. If we have won, we want it to be given to us. If the NDC has won, we want it to be given to them.
Curious,
but it's
when
so clear.
When we called
it's
for
very clear.
What you are calling for
it's
in Tejima and South
very,
only.
very clear.
You saw your response
It's
to us.
very, very clear.
Time changes.
That these seats are for the New Patriotic Party.
Dr. Samuel Efrie, what do you make of these contentions of the seats? So the contentions on the seat that are being contested, about some of them, we showed the declarations on TV, and they were by the officers of the Electoral Commission. Some say they did that on live TV under duress, so to speak. And the argument is, go to the court.
Roland, is unfortunate that some constituencies we had these situations happen there, and that is seriously something that we need to look at. And if the EC tends to the officers tends to suggest that they were being influenced or they were under duress. That also needs to be looked at. And as you're saying, we watch all of these collation center live on TV. But what I was having a problem is where most of the party supporters were closer to the collation center. Because when you look at the EC Act, you can realize that just the party reps are supposed to be, but you realize that most of the party members were there, but they were much closer, and I think that they were causing some kind of, because when you look at Techimine, what things happened, some people penning ballot papers and those kind of things. It's an unfortunate situation that we need to avoid the next time in our elections. That one needs to be avoided, because so based on some of these things, the EC officials could use this as a way to get themselves out from these pronouncements, and whether you can begrudge them or not. I think we also have to work on that and look at how some of these centers were, because it's unfortunate that you see a EC official declaring the results and then at the same time come later and say the other ones. But I believe that if the pink sheets, all the party members have, the party didn't have the pink sheet that is available, I don't think that there's a need to worry about. And also the coalition, the centers that were having some challenges, that they send it to the police is also wrong and need to be looked at based on the EC web. And so I think that the party, the EC need to call all the parties involved so that they will have a way. Roland, I believe in consensus and collaboration and talking about issues rather than the hard way of showing power because I have. You may have the power, but at the end of the day, you need to get people to be involved in your decision making so that they will be part of the process. So far, all the centers that we have challenges about declaration of results, of the parliamentary results, are due to the inability of the EC and the party legend to come together to have some of these things to be resolved. And I believe that as soon as practicable, the EC need to come in and get all those centers. Let's sit down, let's see the way out. Let the NDC bring their view, let the MPP or the other parties bring their view, and let's see the way we can resolve. If all of them had come together to say that we should go to the police, I don't think that the NDC would complain. So I believe that the EC need to go in that way so that all of us will have a peaceful, so that the rest of the seats that has not been declared will be declared as soon as possible so that we all move on well in the 9th Parliament. So I think the EC need to back up a little on this area.
Look, on one hand, who do we blame, the EC or also its assigns and the officers? Because now to the point that you even move the collation center to a security premises, a police station, I don't know psychologically which one is more, putting duress or putting ordinary people who are contesting elections and supporters of parties under duress than anything else. Where now we've set a precedent where the police service and their grounds and premises become the premises at which we have to finally go and collate results. The Electoral Commission and their actions in relation to some of these matters, Apia Dankwa, lawyer.
You see, directly, you need to blame the EC.
Very surprising, is that not?
But then when you want to expand why we are where we are, then you need to point a finger at the president.
Why?
Because you see, I'm saying that what is happening because the people already did not trust the ability of the EC to deliver a free and fair election.
Going by precedent, the recent events in 2020.
And just by the fact that he appointed people who were perceived to be members of the MPP. So going to this election, I think we said this so many times on this platform, people didn't believe that the EC was going to deliver elections which were free and fair. The issue, in fact, around September, I think the NDC and the movement shared that view. We were calling for forensic what's called
Audit of the
edit
register
of the
What Edwidge is espousing.
yeah,
You also call for the same.
but here on your platform,
discussed it
yeah,
extensively.
you understand. So I think directly is as in on the face of it is the EC, but we are having this problem because when the president was appointing members onto the EC, you understand, he acted irresponsibly when he appointed people who were perceived to be members of the MPP. So clearly, right from the word go, people didn't believe that this EC was going to. So people were
Lack of
extra
trust.
fundamental lack of trust. Also, you see, we keep on talking about the low turnout, and then our members didn't vote. Our members, it was Ghanaians. See, Ghanaians decided, majority of Ghanaians, about 7 million Ghanaians, because the voter register has about 18.7. The people who voted was about 11 point.
Just shy of 12 million.
So about
almost 60% turnout.
no, 60.9. And so the people who didn't vote, about 39 point something, they had to vote with their feet. The people who didn't vote actually gave Dr. Mahmoud a gap. If you are supposed to take the nominal figures, they give Dr. Mahmoud a gap, a massive gap.
Why the emphasis on the gap?
It's very necessary. We shouldn't forget the gap.
Oh, okay, very well.
And he himself said we shouldn't forget the gap. Okay. Now, you see, what kind of interpretation do you put to this? And also, I advise my MDC friends that, you see, they should also not be mindful of the fact that they had about 6.3. 6 points, so they added about 100 and something to their votes. So what they did as against them people, that they managed to consolidate their base. For me, the worry is the large number of people who refused to tell. I mean, you see, the interpretation I'm putting to it is not that it was the people, NPP people who didn't go and vote. No political party has any human being. Is it the case that about 39% of our people simply do not trust that democracy is delivering on their promise? And that's why the reset agenda is very critical. You understand? We need to create a system where we would restore the confidence of the Ghanaians in political leadership. Because you have 39 of our compatriots who refuse to vote. It is preposterous on the part of the MPP to assume that these over 39.1 people who decided to vote with their feet were people who would have voted for them. Yes, these are people who are simply saying that, listen, we don't like the kind of political culture we have created. We don't like the kind of the lack of economic structures in the system. We don't like the wanton arrogance of power. We don't want that. And so, but there again, we are saying that, listen, this system we have created is the only system that can guarantee for us the rule of law. And so, it is necessary, once again, and I'm calling on organizers again, that all of us, irrespective of your political coloring, if there's a time where we should all come together and support a leader, it is now. So we all of us together, under the able leadership of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, we reset our country so that we restore the lost confidence of the people of this country in the ability of democracy to deliver on its promise, so that Ghana, the black star of Africa, will rise again.
So the contesting seats, you say that the EC should not, because they undertook a press conference,
yes,
where they said that the elections, some of those assigned areas were fraught with difficulties.
You see, by law, once a declaration is made, the Electoral Commission returning officer becomes fontus officio.
Exactly.
His powers cease.
Yes.
If you are aggrieved, you go to the judicial process. It was true in 2020, it is true in 2024. But you see, if you listen to Samuel Tete, in that press conference, I don't know whether I will call it Friday night press conference, you will see carefully they take away Damongo from the conversation. Find out who did the declaration in respect of Damongo, whether it was the returning officer.
Who did it?
In fact, the person who did the declaration for Damongo said he had been instructed by Accra EC to do that declaration.
So it was not the presiding officer?
For whatever reason.
So it was not the returning officer for the
election? They had gone to bend the electoral
Cap
office.
127.
Calm down. The point I am making is that you say abaye the boat teaching, you the boba or whatever. So if you are saying that they are concerned because in some places there were violence or whatever, and so you could not trace the electoral materials or the pink sheet, how come that you took or you isolated them and go out of the impugned seats? So it tells you how inconsistent these current electoral commission officers are. Me, sitting here as the director leader of the NDC, I can assure you, our seat in Ablekuma stands. Our seat in Okankwe Central stands. Our seat in Tema Central stands. Our seats that have been so declared for us, including Obuasi East, stand. Madam Jane Mensah or Bosman Asari or Samotete, you do not have the powers whatsoever to sit in your ivory tower and say you have invalidated the result of election. Where are you drawing that or those powers from? Please, don't see yourself bigger than what you are. You are. For the time being, you created CI 127. In fact, if you look at the tail end of CI 127, it bears the signature of Madam Jane Mensah. Why is she not willing to comply? In fact, the response to the Honorable Haruna Idrisu in 2020 came from Jane Mensah and the other commissioners. Whereupon in paragraph 13, they made it clear that recollation can happen until declaration is done. And once declaration is done, it is conclusive unless set aside by a court of competent jurisdiction. Claim, if your officers say, yes, if your officers say they were under duress, that's for the court to make a determination of. So I do not get it. Madam Jane Mensah, before the 6th of January, we expect you to forward to the Clerk of Parliament all the NDC MPs whose election have been publicly declared. If not, we are not going to take this down. We will not. We will not.
All right. Dr. Friye, thank you for joining us this morning as well. What will be your 30 seconds advice to the parties on these vexed matters?
What I would say, Roland, thank you. And what I would say is that the EC and the parties involved, I think they should heed the calls of the NDC that they should convey a meeting so that these things will be resolved. And I think that will be the best way. So the EC need to come up with a meeting and then this be resolved so that we move on. We have a lot of things ahead of us and we need to get on.
Dr. Samuel Friye, thank you very much and joining us from Kumasi, the Ashanti Regional Capital, and always a great contributor. Dr. Palgrave Wachedankwa, thank you as well. I wish you all the best. And then also Apia Dankwa, legal practitioner, Ediji. I wish you all the best for the day as well.